Have you ever felt like the world around you is getting louder and louder, yet inside, you feel strangely empty? Notifications are buzzing, people are talking, demands are piling up, and even when you're finally alone, your mind refuses to quiet down. In today's hyper-connected society, silence has become a rare luxury, and solitude, a word that once meant peace and reflection, has become almost terrifying for many people. But what if I told you that the very thing you're running from, that quiet moment alone with your own thoughts, holds the key to your deepest strength, creativity, and freedom? Welcome to today's video, my friends. We're about to embark on a journey that will completely transform how you see being alone. This isn't just another self-help talk filled with cliches about me time or bubble baths and weekend retreats. No. This is about something much deeper, about building what the ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius called the sanctuary within. It's about creating a fortress of calm and clarity inside yourself, one that no chaos from the outside world can ever penetrate. Marcus Aurelius, who was not just a philosopher, but the emperor of Rome, ruled over millions of people, commanded armies, and faced betrayal, war, and plague. Yet, despite all this unimaginable noise and responsibility, he wrote in his private journal, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Think about that for a moment. This was the most powerful man in the world, surrounded by constant demands. And even he understood that true peace doesn't come from escaping your responsibilities. It comes from cultivating stillness inside yourself. And here's the thing. If inner peace in the middle of ruling an empire, you and I can find it in our own lives, no matter how chaotic things seem. The problem is that modern life trains us to run from silence. When was the last time you sat alone without reaching for your phone, without music or TV playing in the background, without scrolling through endless feeds? Most people can't do it for more than a few minutes. Why? Because when the external noise stops, we're left face to face with our internal noise, the worries, regrets, and insecurities we've been avoiding. But here's the paradox. If you can learn to sit with that discomfort, if you can turn inward instead of outward, you will unlock a level of strength and clarity that most people never experience. Solitude, when practiced with intention, is not loneliness. It's a superpower. Loneliness is the pain of feeling disconnected from others. But solitude is the joy of reconnecting with yourself. In this video, we're going to explore why solitude is essential for a truly meaningful life. You'll discover how spending time alone can recharge your energy, unleash your creativity, and free you from the endless need for external validation. We'll talk about how solitude helped visionaries like Steve Jobs make world-changing decisions during his long solitary walks, and how spiritual masters throughout history, monks, sages, and mystics used silence to reach the deepest levels of understanding. But this isn't just theory. By the end of this video, you'll have practical tools you can use to build your own inner sanctuary. I'll share a simple but powerful daily practice that takes just 30 minutes, yet can radically transform how you handle stress, relationships, and decision-making. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, creative block, or just feeling overwhelmed by the demands of modern life, this practice will help you reclaim your mind and your peace. And let me be clear, this isn't about retreating from the world permanently. You don't have to move to a cabin in the woods or become a monk. This is about balance. When you cultivate inner solitude, you become more effective and more present in the world. You can engage with people and challenges from a place of strength rather than reactivity. So, if you've ever felt like life is spinning out of control, like you're drowning in noise and expectations, this video is for you. By the time we're done, you'll understand why solitude is not just a nice idea, but a necessity for anyone who wants to live with clarity and purpose. Before we dive in, I have one small request. If you find value in this video, please take a moment to like it, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content like this. Your support helps this channel grow and allows us to keep creating deep, meaningful videos for people like you. And if you'd like to go above and beyond, consider using the Super Thanks feature here on YouTube to make a small donation. It's a way of saying, I believe in this message, and every contribution directly helps us create more content to serve this amazing community. Stay with me until the very end, because the final lesson I'll share could completely change the way you see your struggles and challenges. It's not about defeating others or winning some external game. It's about winning the only battle that truly matters, the battle within yourself. Ready? Let's begin this journey into the sanctuary within. Imagine waking up in the morning, reaching for your phone before you even brush your teeth, and being instantly bombarded by notifications, news alerts, social media updates, and a flood of comparisons. On Instagram, someone just posted pictures of their luxury vacation in Bali. On LinkedIn, a former classmate announced their promotion to VP at a Fortune 500 company. On TikTok, there's yet another influencer selling you the secret to overnight success. This constant noise has become the modern battlefield. It may not have swords and shields like the Roman Empire, but the stakes feel just as high. The enemies we face today aren't invading armies. They are invisible forces: stress, anxiety, self-doubt, and the crushing weight of societal expectations. This is the war of the mind, and most of us are losing without even realizing it. In the past, warriors like Marcus Aurelius fought external enemies while also fighting their inner battles. Marcus was the most powerful man of his time, emperor of Rome, commander of vast armies, ruler of millions. Yet every night, he returned to his private journal, writing down his thoughts, struggles, and reflections, not to publish them or gain praise, but to discipline his mind. He knew that the greatest empire to rule is not Rome, but one's own thoughts. Today, we might not wear armor or lead legions, but we are under attack every single day by endless notifications, peer pressure, and a need to perform. Marcus's timeless words still echo through history. You cannot control the world, but you can master your mind. Think about this deeply. You cannot control the economy, other people's opinions, or what viral trend pops up next week. You can't stop your boss from being unfair or your friends from getting ahead faster, but you can control the way you respond. That is where true freedom lies. Most people live like prisoners, chained to reactions they don't even question. Someone criticizes them, and they explode with anger. A coworker gets promoted, and jealousy consumes them. A post goes viral, and suddenly they feel inadequate. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that this cycle is optional. You don't have to be dragged around by every external event like a puppet on strings. Instead, you could be like a mountain, steady, grounded, unshaken by the storms raging around you. Let's bring this into a modern example. Imagine a young CEO named Sarah. At 29, she built a fast-growing startup and became a star on LinkedIn. Every week, she posted updates about new partnerships, funding rounds, and speaking events. At first, it felt thrilling. The likes, comments, and shares were like fuel. But over time, she noticed something disturbing. She wasn't working for her vision anymore. She was working for validation. She compared herself constantly to other founders. If someone raised more money or got featured in Forbes, she felt crushed. When challenges hit her company, she couldn't admit it publicly because she was addicted to looking perfect. Eventually, Sarah burned out. She hit a wall physically, emotionally, and mentally. She took a break, turned off social media, and stumbled upon Stoic philosophy. Through reading Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, she learned to detach her self-worth from external noise. Slowly, she rebuilt her company not to impress others, but to serve her mission. Today, Sarah is still successful, but her joy doesn't depend on followers or headlines. She learned to rule her inner kingdom first. Sarah's story is not unique. Millions of people are stuck in the same trap. Social media has made our lives a constant performance. We curate our feeds, crafting a version of ourselves we hope others will admire. But this comes at a cost. The more we chase approval, the more fragile we become. If the likes stop, our confidence shatters. If someone criticizes us, we spiral into anger or despair. This is why so many high-achieving people feel empty inside despite having everything. They're fighting the wrong battles. Stoicism reminds us that the real battlefield is within. The ancient Stoics faced different challenges, but human nature hasn't changed. Marcus Aurelius dealt with betrayal, war, and plagues. Epictetus was born a slave, endured unimaginable suffering, yet became one of history's greatest philosophers. Seneca was a powerful advisor to an emperor, constantly surrounded by political chaos. What kept them sane wasn't luck or privilege, it was their mindset. They trained themselves daily to focus on what they could control and release the rest. This practice is just as relevant today. You might not control inflation or whether your boss likes you, but you can control your effort, your integrity, and your attitude. Let's be honest. Modern life is a non-stop competition. Everyone is comparing salaries, houses, bodies, vacations. It's like a digital coliseum where people perform for applause while secretly fearing failure. No wonder stress, depression, and anxiety are at record highs. We are all running a race with no finish line. The Stoics would tell us to step off the track entirely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." In other words, true success has nothing to do with outshining others. It's about living in harmony with your values, regardless of external judgment. Consider how athletes prepare for big competitions. Michael Jordan didn't win 6 NBA championships by focusing on trash talk or fans' opinions. He focused relentlessly on his training, his mindset, his craft. Serena Williams didn't become a legend by comparing herself to every other player on Instagram. She trained, she played, she grew. The noise was always there, but she chose to tune it out. That's the Stoic path. It's not about ignoring reality or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about choosing where to place your energy. Complaining, gossiping, and comparing are easy. Mastery is hard, but mastery brings peace. There's a common saying in self-improvement circles, mindset is everything. Stoicism goes deeper. It says mindset isn't just important, it's the only thing you truly own. Your job can disappear overnight. Your reputation can be destroyed by one rumor. Your body can weaken with age or illness. But your character, your perspective, your inner world, that's yours, if you choose to claim it. This is radical in a society obsessed with external measures of worth. Think about it. Every advertisement you see is trying to convince you that happiness is outside of you. A new car, a better body, a bigger house. The Stoics flipped this script completely. They said, happiness is within you, available right now, if you train your mind. So how do we start training our minds? The first step is awareness. Most of us run on autopilot, reacting to life without reflection. Stoic practice begins with pausing before you react. Someone insults you? Pause. A deal falls through? Pause. This simple act creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, you choose how to act. This is freedom. Over time, you develop what the Stoics called apatheia. Not apathy, but a deep calmness rooted in wisdom. You stop being yanked around by every emotion or headline. Imagine driving through rush hour traffic. Most people honk, curse, and stew in anger. A Stoic driver breathes, turns on a podcast, and uses the time to grow instead of suffer. Same situation, completely different experience. Another key practice is journaling. Marcus Aurelius is famous. Book Meditations wasn't meant to be published. It was his private notebook, a way to talk to himself, to remind himself of truths he might forget in the chaos of ruling an empire. You could do the same. Each night, write down what you faced, how you reacted, and what you learned. This builds self-awareness and resilience. It's like lifting weights for your mind. Over time, your mental muscles grow stronger, and challenges that once crushed you become opportunities for growth. Here's a simple exercise you can try today. Write down 3 things that upset you recently. For each one, ask, was this within my control? If yes, take constructive action. If no, release it. Most of our suffering comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. This shift alone can reduce stress dramatically. For example, you can't control whether your company lays people off, but you can control how you prepare financially and emotionally. You can't control whether someone likes you, but you can control whether you act with integrity. This is practical philosophy, not abstract theory. Some people worry that Stoicism means becoming cold or emotionless. That's a misunderstanding. Stoicism isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about understanding them. When anger arises, you don't deny it, you examine it. You ask, why am I angry? Is this useful? Does it align with my values? This reflective approach turns emotions into teachers rather than tyrants. In fact, Stoics were deeply compassionate. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to be patient with others because everyone is fighting their own battles. By mastering your own mind, you become better equipped to help others, not worse. As we explore this journey together, remember that these ideas are not just ancient history. They are tools you can apply right now to outsmart the chaos of modern life. Over the course of this series, we'll break down 9 Stoic principles that have been distilled into 6 powerful keys. Each key builds on the last, guiding you step by step toward inner mastery. Whether you're struggling with career challenges, relationship drama, or personal doubts, these keys will give you practical strategies to navigate it all. Stay with me until the end, because the final key will completely transform how you see your struggles. Imagine walking through life with unshakable calm, no matter what storms rage around you. Imagine being so grounded that other people's drama doesn't pull you off course. That is possible. It's not about being smarter than everyone else. It's about being wiser, quieter, more centered. In a world obsessed with noise, this is the ultimate competitive advantage. True success isn't about defeating others. It's about winning the only battle that truly matters, the battle within. Mastering yourself is the first and most difficult battle you will ever face. Before you try to lead a team, build a company, or change the world, you must first gain control over your own mind, emotions, and actions. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago, and their wisdom is still profoundly relevant today. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, summed it up perfectly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This means that the very obstacles we face are not meant to break us, but to shape us. They're opportunities to practice self-mastery. In a world obsessed with controlling everything external, other people, circumstances, the future, the Stoic path turns inward. It says, master yourself, and you'll be free no matter what happens around you. The first step in mastering yourself is learning not to complain about your challenges. This may seem small, but it's actually revolutionary. Most of us, when facing difficulties, instinctively vent, complain, or seek sympathy. It feels good in the moment, but it has hidden costs. Complaining magnifies the problem. It gives your challenge more power over you, because every time you speak about it, you reinforce it in your mind. Think about a workplace scenario that many people can relate to. Imagine 2 employees working on the same difficult project. One constantly complains to coworkers, "This project is impossible. The deadlines are unrealistic. Management doesn't know what they're doing." Over time, this person becomes known as toxic. Their energy drains the team, and even when they are right about certain issues, their negativity overshadows everything else. The other employee stays quiet, focuses on solving problems, and takes action step by step. Even though they face the same obstacles, they don't waste energy talking about them endlessly. At the end of the quarter, guess who gets promoted? Not the loud complainer, but the quiet problem solver. This isn't just a story. It happens every day in offices, startups, and organizations around the world. Complaining is seductive because it provides a quick hit of validation. When you say, "My boss is so unfair," and someone nods in agreement, you feel momentarily justified. But nothing changes. You're still stuck, and now you've spread negativity to others. The Stoics would urge you to shift your focus entirely. Instead of saying, "Why me?" ask, "What can I do now?" This question moves you from victim mode to creator mode. It doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend everything is fine. It means you direct your energy toward action rather than noise. Think of Marcus Aurelius himself. As emperor, he faced plagues, wars, betrayals, and immense political pressure. If anyone had a right to complain, it was him. Yet his private writings, now known as meditations, are filled not with rants, but with reminders to stay calm, rational, and focused on what he could control. His example shows us that strength is quiet. Real leaders don't need to broadcast their suffering, they transform it into wisdom. In today's world, where oversharing has become a cultural norm, this principle is more important than ever. Social media encourages us to narrate every difficulty, every frustration, every minor inconvenience. People post vague, dramatic messages on Facebook or rant in Instagram stories, hoping for sympathy or attention. While there's nothing wrong with seeking support from trusted friends, broadcasting your pain to the world often backfires. It can make you look unprofessional, drain your energy, and even invite criticism or exploitation. The next time you face a challenge, experiment with silence. Don't announce it. Don't vent online. Instead, quietly do the work to overcome it. When you emerge on the other side, your results will speak louder than any complaint ever could. Closely related to this is the second Stoic principle: don't reveal your secrets. This is about more than just privacy. It's about protecting your inner world. Seneca put it bluntly: if you want to keep a secret, keep it to yourself. In a hyper-connected age, we are constantly encouraged to share our thoughts, our plans, our goals. While openness can build connection, oversharing leaves you vulnerable. Not everyone has your best interests at heart. Sometimes the people you think you can trust may unintentionally undermine you. Consider the world of startups, where ideas are currency. Imagine a young founder who comes up with a brilliant new app concept. She's excited, so she tells everyone about it at networking events, on Twitter, in casual conversations. A few months later, a competitor launches a nearly identical product before she's ready. Her dream is crushed, not because her idea wasn't good, but because she revealed it too soon. This dynamic happens in everyday life as well. Maybe you've experienced a version of this yourself. You share your fitness goal with friends. I'm going to run a marathon next year. And instead of support, you get doubt or discouragement. Someone says, "That's too ambitious," or "You're not really a runner." Their words plant seeds of self-doubt in your mind. Suddenly, the excitement fades, and you start questioning yourself. By keeping your plans private until they're well underway, you protect your motivation. It's like shielding a young plant from harsh winds until its roots are strong enough to withstand them. This isn't about secrecy for its own sake. It's about discernment. You choose carefully who to confide in, based on trust and mutual respect. Psychologists have even studied this phenomenon. Research shows that announcing your goals publicly can create a false sense of accomplishment. Your brain gets a dopamine hit just from talking about the goal, which can reduce your drive to actually achieve it. This explains why so many people enthusiastically declare New Year's resolutions, only to abandon them weeks later. The Stoics intuited this long before modern science. By staying silent, you keep the fire burning inside you. You act rather than talk. In practical terms, this might mean working on your side, hustle quietly for months before telling anyone. It might mean keeping your relationship private while you build a solid foundation. It might mean journaling your dreams instead of tweeting them. Silence is power. The third principle of self-mastery is humility. Don't brag about your achievements. In a world where self-promotion is almost expected, this can feel counterintuitive. LinkedIn is full of humble brags. Instagram is a non-stop highlight reel. It seems like everyone is shouting, "Look at me, look at what I did." But true strength doesn't need to shout. Epictetus advised, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." In other words, let your actions speak for themselves. There's a beautiful metaphor for this. Imagine a skilled gardener who spends years cultivating a lush, vibrant garden. They don't need to stand at the gate yelling, "Come look at my flowers." The beauty of the garden speaks for itself. Similarly, when you focus on doing excellent work consistently, people will notice without you needing to advertise. Bragging often backfires anyway. It can breed resentment, make you seem insecure, or even attract sabotage. History is full of examples of people who stayed quiet and were underestimated, only to rise unexpectedly. Think of athletes like Michael Phelps or Simone Biles. During training seasons, they weren't constantly posting their workouts or talking about their strategies. They let their performances on the world stage do the talking. Their quiet preparation led to stunning, undeniable results. Social media has distorted our relationship with achievement. We've been conditioned to believe that an accomplishment isn't real unless it's publicly shared and validated. But external validation is fleeting. A post might get 1,000 likes today and be forgotten tomorrow. Meanwhile, the internal satisfaction of growth lasts far longer. When you keep your wins private, you cultivate a deeper sense of self-worth. You know you did something meaningful, even if no one else applauds. This also protects you from the trap of complacency. Sometimes, announcing a win too loudly creates pressure to maintain an image rather than continue improving. Quiet humility keeps you focused on the work itself. Let's bring all three principles together through a single story. Picture an Olympic athlete training for years in obscurity. While competitors post glamorous training videos and boast about their routines, this athlete keeps a low profile. They don't complain about grueling workouts, even when they're injured or exhausted. They don't reveal their exact strategies to rivals or the media. They don't brag about small victories along the way. They simply train day after day in silence. Then, at the Olympic Games, they break a world record. The world is shocked, but the athlete isn't. They knew all along what they were building. This is the essence of quiet power. It's not about hiding forever. It's about timing. By mastering their own impulses to complain, overshare, or seek praise, they position themselves for undeniable success. These principles apply far beyond sports. In business, politics, art, and personal relationships, the same dynamics play out. Imagine a corporate leader navigating a crisis. If they complain publicly about every obstacle, they lose credibility. If they reveal too much about internal strategies, competitors gain an advantage. If they brag about minor wins, their team may lose trust. But a leader who stays calm, discreet, and humble earns respect. Their presence alone inspires confidence. This kind of leadership is rare precisely because it requires deep self-mastery. On a personal level, practicing these Stoic habits can transform your daily life. The next time you face a setback, resist the urge to vent immediately. Instead, pause and channel your energy into problem solving. When you have a new idea or goal, keep it close to your heart until you've taken significant action. When you achieve something meaningful, savor it privately before deciding whether to share. Over time, these small choices build immense inner strength. You become less reactive, less dependent on others' opinions, and more grounded in your own values. Modern culture often glamorizes the opposite behaviors. Reality TV shows, reward drama, and complaints. Influencers profit from oversharing every detail of their lives. Public figures chase attention through endless self-promotion. It's easy to get swept up in this current. But consider how exhausting it is to live that way, always performing, always seeking external validation. The Stoic path offers a radical alternative: stillness, discretion, humility. It may feel unnatural at first, but it leads to true freedom. You stop needing the world to see you a certain way because you know who you are inside. This doesn't mean isolation or suppression. You can still have close friends and trusted confidants. You can still celebrate milestones with people who matter. The key is intention. Are you speaking to connect or to complain? Are you sharing to inspire or to seek validation? Are you celebrating to express joy or to show off? By asking these questions, you cultivate awareness. Over time, this awareness becomes second nature. You catch yourself before falling into old habits. You become a master of your words rather than their servant. Self-mastery is a lifelong journey. There will be moments when you slip, when frustration spills out, when you reveal too much, when pride takes over. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Each time you catch yourself and realign with these Stoic principles, you grow stronger. Challenges will still come. People will still test you. But instead of being thrown off course, you will meet these moments with calm, clarity, and quiet strength. This is what it means to truly master yourself. And once you have done that, you are ready to face the world not as a victim of circumstances, but as a creator of your own destiny. Strategic silence is one of the most underrated skills in modern life. In a world dominated by social media, constant notifications, and a relentless demand to share your journey, staying quiet has become almost rebellious. We live in a culture where people post every meal they eat, every step they take, and every plan they have for the future. It might feel natural to announce our goals and dreams to the world, but doing so too soon can actually sabotage our success. Ancient Stoic philosophers like Epictetus understood this long before Instagram or Twitter existed. He said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Notice that he doesn't say, tell everyone what you will be. He says, say to yourself, then act. This reflects a deep truth about human psychology. When you speak too much about your plans, you give away energy that should be invested in making them real. When you reveal your plans prematurely, several dangerous things can happen. First, you open yourself to doubt and negativity. Imagine you tell your friends or family that you want to quit your stable job and start a business. Instead of encouragement, you might hear, that's risky, or most businesses fail in the first year. Even if they mean well, their doubts can take root in your mind. Suddenly, you start questioning yourself, and the fire you once felt begins to fade. Second, publicizing your plans can trigger envy and competition. Not everyone will be happy about your ambitions. Some people will secretly hope you fail, and a few may actively try to undermine you. By staying silent, you protect yourself from unnecessary opposition. Third, and perhaps most subtly, talking about your goals can create a false sense of accomplishment. When you tell others, I'm going to write a book, your brain releases dopamine, giving you a little hit of satisfaction. It feels almost like you've already done something, which can make you less motivated to actually do the hard work. This phenomenon has been studied by psychologists and explains why so many people announce big plans but never follow through. Think about how this plays out in everyday life. Consider a young entrepreneur who's building a startup. If she constantly shares every detail of her product roadmap, she risks more than just criticism. Competitors might steal her ideas before she can execute them. Investors might lose confidence if they see too many pivots or unfinished concepts. The wisest founders keep their plans close to the chest until they have something solid to show. Steve Jobs was a master of this. Apple was famously secretive about upcoming products. They didn't tease half-baked ideas or prototypes. They worked quietly behind the scenes, and when they finally revealed something like the iPhone, it shocked the world. This strategy created a sense of awe and allowed Apple to control the narrative. Elon Musk has used a similar approach with Tesla. While he's known for bold public statements, the actual details of Tesla's technology and product development are guarded carefully. When they announce a new vehicle, it's often after years of hidden work. This mix of mystery and mastery keeps competitors guessing and fans excited. Strategic silence doesn't just apply to business. It's relevant to personal goals too. Imagine you decided to get in shape and run a marathon. You could post about it on social media, declaring to everyone, I'm training for my first marathon. At first, you'll get likes and supportive comments. It feels good. But what happens when you miss a few workouts or your motivation dips? Now, Instead of focusing on your own journey, you're worried about how others perceive you. Their expectations become a source of pressure, which can actually make you more likely to quit. Contrast this with someone who trains quietly, telling only a few close friends. When race day arrives, they show up strong, surprising everyone with their transformation. The results speak for themselves. The principle here is simple. Your energy is finite. Every time you talk about your plans, you leak a little bit of that energy. You invite external noise into your internal process. By staying silent, you conserve your focus. You create a private space where your dreams can grow safely, like seeds in fertile soil. Once they've sprouted and grown strong, then you can share them with the world if you choose to. This is what it means to nurture your dreams in silence. Big dreams are especially fragile in the early stages. When you share them too soon, they can be crushed by criticism, comparison, or your own self-doubt. It's like taking a delicate plant and exposing it to a storm before it's ready. Consider the story of a painter who spent 10 years working in a small studio, creating a body of work that no one had seen. While other artists were constantly posting their progress online, chasing likes and followers, this painter stayed hidden. Friends wondered why she didn't exhibit her art or talk about her process. She simply smiled and kept working. Finally, after a decade, she unveiled her first gallery show. The paintings were breathtaking, and the art world was stunned. Because she had worked in silence, free from external influence, her style was unique and powerful. If she had shared too much along the way, she might have been swayed by trends or discouraged by negative feedback. Her silence was her strength. This idea may seem countercultural today. Social media platforms encourage constant sharing. Influencers preach building in public and radical transparency. While there are contexts where openness is valuable, it's important to recognize the trade-offs. Not every dream needs to be crowdsourced. Some things are sacred. When you protect your private ambitions, you create a sanctuary within yourself. You become less dependent on external validation. This inner security allows you to take bold risks without fear of judgment. It also builds resilience. When setbacks happen, and then you can process them privately and keep moving forward. Public failure can be humiliating, but private failure is simply part of the journey. There's also a strategic advantage to surprise. When you keep your moves hidden, you maintain an element of unpredictability. Think of a chess master. If you announce every move before you make it, your opponent can easily counter you. But if you move silently, they're forced to react on your terms. This is why military leaders, athletes, and entrepreneurs all value secrecy. Michael Jordan didn't broadcast every training drill or game plan. He let his performance on the court speak for itself. Beyoncé famously dropped an entire album without any prior promotion, shocking the music industry and dominating the conversation. These moments of surprise are only possible when preparation happens. In private, at a deeper level, strategic silence is about self-respect. When you keep your plans and dreams to yourself, you're telling yourself that they matter. You are not throwing them into the public arena to be judged, dissected, or ridiculed. You are honoring them as something precious. This mindset shift can be transformative. Instead of chasing approval, you focus on alignment. You ask, does this dream align with my values? Am I acting from purpose? This doesn't mean you should never share anything. Trusted mentors, close friends, or partners can provide valuable support and perspective. The key is discernment. Before you speak, pause and consider, why am I sharing this? Am I seeking genuine help or just a dopamine hit from attention? Am I prepared for potential criticism or will it derail me? If the answer is no, stay silent. Let your actions do the talking. Over time, people will notice your growth without you having to announce it. One practical exercise to build this habit is journaling. Write down your 3 biggest dreams in a private notebook. Don't tell anyone about them for 90 days. Each day, take one small action toward those dreams. It could be as simple as researching a skill, saving a little money, or practicing a relevant habit. The key is consistency. By keeping the process private, you remove external pressure and create a direct connection between your intention and your action. After 90 days, reflect on your progress. You may be amazed at how much you've accomplished without the distraction of outside voices. Another exercise is to practice restraint in conversations. The next time someone asks about your future plans, resist the urge to give a detailed answer. Instead, offer a simple, non-committal response like, "I'm working on some things I'm excited about," and leave it at that. Notice how it feels to hold something back. At first, it may be uncomfortable, especially if you're used to oversharing. But over time, you'll begin to appreciate the power of mystery. You'll realize that not everyone needs access to your inner world. Strategic silence also protects relationships. Many conflicts arise not from actions, but from words spoken too soon or too freely. When you share every thought that crosses your mind, you create unnecessary drama. By cultivating silence, you give yourself time to reflect before speaking. This can prevent misunderstandings and preserve trust. Think of how many arguments could be avoided if people paused before blurting out their plans or opinions. Silence is not weakness. It is strength under control. Ultimately, strategic silence is about freedom. When you stop seeking external validation, you free yourself from the tyranny of public opinion. You're no longer performing for an audience. You are living for yourself, aligned with your deepest values. This is profoundly liberating. It allows you to take risks, explore ideas, and grow without fear. It also creates a sense of inner peace. The world may be loud and chaotic, but within your own mind, there is a quiet space where you are safe and whole. Imagine how different your life could be if you embrace this practice. Instead of announcing every goal and facing a barrage of doubts, you would move steadily toward your vision. Instead of seeking likes and comments, you would find satisfaction in private progress. Instead of being derailed by criticism, you would stay centered and strong. Over time, your results would speak so loudly that no words would be necessary. People would see the transformation and wonder how you did it. They might even call it luck. But you would know the truth. It was the quiet power of strategic silence. This principle has been proven throughout history. From military leaders to artists to entrepreneurs, those who achieve lasting impact often do so quietly, then suddenly. They understand that preparation is invisible. The Stoics knew this too. Epictetus's advice still resonates. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The saying begins with an inward conversation, not an outward declaration. It reminds us that the most important audience is ourselves. When you honor your dreams by nurturing them in silence, you create the conditions for true greatness. And when the time comes to reveal them, the world will be ready, but more importantly, so will you. In a world where everyone is constantly connected, where social media amplifies every rumor and every act of virtue, it has become increasingly difficult to rise above the noise. The Stoics, who lived centuries ago, did not have to deal with Instagram, Twitter, or office gossip threads on Slack. Yet their teachings about how to live a virtuous and focused life are incredibly relevant today. They understood a fundamental truth about human nature. We are easily distracted by others, by their faults, their successes, and their failures. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, captured this perfectly when he said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Instead of judging others, talking about them, or trying to control their behavior." Stoics taught us to turn inward and focus on our own actions. One of the most destructive forces in any group, whether it's a workplace, a family, or a circle of friends, is gossip. Gossip feels harmless at first. It often starts as casual chatter. "Did you hear what happened with Sarah's project?" Or, "I can't believe John got that promotion." In the moment, gossip can feel bonding, like a secret you share with someone else. It gives a fleeting sense of connection and even superiority. But underneath the surface, gossip is poison. It corrodes trust. It creates an atmosphere of suspicion. It wastes valuable time and energy that could be spent on meaningful work or personal growth. In professional settings, gossip can be especially damaging. Imagine a group of employees who spend their lunch breaks whispering about who's dating who messed up the last report, or who might get fired next. While they're busy tearing others down, another group of employees is quietly focused on solving problems, improving processes, and adding value. When promotion time comes, it's clear whom management will favor. The gossipers may feel blindsided, but their downfall was predictable. By investing their energy in negativity, they sabotage themselves. Gossip also traps you in a reactive mindset. When you fixate on what others are doing, you lose sight of your own path. You start measuring your worth by comparison, constantly scanning the horizon for someone to criticize or compete with. This is a losing game. There will always be someone more talented, wealthier, or luckier than you. The Stoics would say that this focus on external events is a recipe for misery. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, wrote extensively about the importance of minding your own business. He urged himself to remember that other people's actions are outside his control. The only thing within his power was his own response. Gossip distracts you from this essential truth. It lures you into trying to control what cannot be controlled. Other people's choices, their reputations, their mistakes. Consider how gossip plays out in modern digital life. Social media is essentially gossip at scale. Entire platforms are built on commenting, speculating, and judging others. Celebrity scandals trend for days. Ordinary people get canceled over a single mistake. Even in small online communities, drama spreads like wildfire. Participating in this may feel entertaining, but it drains your mental energy. Every minute spent scrolling through someone else's drama is a minute you're not investing in your own growth. This isn't to say you should be ignorant of the world, but there's a difference between staying informed and indulging in idle chatter. The Stoic practice here is discipline. Before you speak about someone else, pause and ask yourself, is this necessary? Is it kind? Is it productive? If the answer is no, hold your tongue. Practically speaking, this might mean setting boundaries at work. When coworkers start to gossip, you can quietly excuse yourself or redirect the conversation to something constructive. It might mean unfollowing certain social media accounts that thrive on negativity. It might even mean examining your own motivations. Why do you feel drawn to talk about others? Often, gossip is a way to avoid facing our own insecurities. By criticizing someone else, we temporarily feel better about ourselves. But this relief is shallow and short-lived. The deeper, harder work is to confront our own flaws directly. This is why Seneca's advice is so powerful. Don't argue about what a good person should be, just focus on being one. The other side of rising above. The noise is how we handle our own good deeds. Just as gossiping about others is harmful, so is boasting about our own virtue. In today's culture, there is immense pressure to perform goodness. Publicly, people post about their charitable donations, their volunteer work, even their acts of kindness toward friends. While sharing can sometimes inspire others, it often crosses the line into self-promotion. The Stoics warned against this centuries ago. True virtue, they taught, is doing good for its own sake, not for recognition or applause. When you make a big show of your generosity, you corrupt the act itself. You shift the focus from the person you're helping to yourself. It becomes about your image rather than their well-being. Consider the phenomenon of virtue signaling. Online, a person donates to a cause and immediately posts a screenshot of their receipt. Or they volunteer at a homeless shelter and film themselves handing out meals. While these actions may genuinely help people, the public display often invites skepticism. Others wonder, are they doing this because they care or because they want to be seen caring? This ambiguity erodes trust. Even worse, it can discourage quiet acts of service. People who prefer to help in private may feel pressured to broadcast their kindness just to keep up appearances. The Stoic way cuts through this noise. It says, let your actions be their own reward. If you truly care about making a difference, the work itself is enough. You don't need an audience. There are countless examples throughout history of individuals who embodied this principle. Mother Teresa is one of the most well-known. She dedicated her life to serving the poorest of the poor, caring for those who were sick, abandoned, or dying. Despite receiving global recognition, she lived simply and rarely spoke about herself. Her focus was always on the people she served, not on building her own brand. In a world where many leaders crave attention, her humility was radical. Even today, her legacy endures precisely because it wasn't built on self-promotion. She understood that true service happens quietly, without fanfare. On a smaller scale, you may have encountered this kind of quiet generosity in your own life. Perhaps you know someone who anonymously pays for a struggling family's groceries, or who donates scholarships without revealing their identity. These acts are deeply moving because they are pure. There's no ulterior motive, no desire for likes or praise. The giver acts from compassion alone. Contrast this with someone who loudly announces every donation, who makes sure their name is on every building and plaque. While their contributions may still help people, the focus is diluted. The ego gets in the way of good. The Stoics would argue that even if no one ever knows about your good deeds, they still matter. In fact, they matter more. When you help quietly, you strengthen your own character. You practice aligning your actions with your values, independent of external rewards. This builds inner peace. You no longer rely on the unstable approval of others. You become free. In a way, this mirrors the discipline of avoiding gossip. Both practices redirect your attention inward. Instead of obsessing over how others perceive you, you focus on living with integrity. These principles are especially relevant in professional environments. Imagine a workplace where no one gossips and no one brags about their contributions. Instead of competing for credit, team members simply do their jobs well. Managers don't have to waste time mediating conflicts or sorting through exaggerated claims. The entire organization becomes more efficient and harmonious. Sadly, this scenario is rare. Most workplaces are full of back-channel conversations and self-promotion. But even if you can't change the whole culture, you can choose to be different. By refusing to gossip and staying humble about your successes, you become a stabilizing force. Others will notice, even if they don't say anything. Over time, your reputation for integrity will speak, louder than any words. There's also a psychological benefit to this approach. Gossip and bragging both tie your emotions to external factors. When you gossip, your mood depends on other people's behavior. When you brag, your mood depends on their approval. In both cases, you are giving away your power. The Stoics teach that true happiness comes from within. By rising above the noise, you reclaim control over your mental state. You stop being a puppet pulled by the strings of other people's opinions. This doesn't mean you become cold or detached. You can still care deeply about others. The difference is that you care without clinging. You help without needing to be seen helping. You observe others without needing to judge them. To practice these principles, you can start small. Try going one full day without talking about anyone who isn't present. If a conversation starts to drift toward gossip, gently steer it elsewhere or remain silent. Notice how challenging this is. Gossip is so ingrained in our culture that it feels almost unnatural to avoid it. But with practice, you'll start to see the benefits. You'll feel lighter, calmer, and more focused on your own life. Similarly, experiment with doing something kind without telling anyone. It could be as simple as leaving an anonymous note of encouragement or secretly covering a coworker's lunch bill. The key is to resist the urge to reveal it later. This builds the muscle of quiet virtue. Another powerful exercise is journaling. At the end of each day, write about moments when you were tempted to gossip or brag. Reflect on why you felt that urge. Often, these impulses are rooted in fear or insecurity. By bringing them to light, you can address the underlying causes. Over time, you'll develop greater self-awareness. You'll catch yourself before you speak, choosing silence instead of noise. In a broader context of Stoic philosophy, rising above the noise is about aligning your life with reason and virtue. It's about recognizing that you cannot control other people, only yourself. Gossip and bragging are both forms of control-seeking. When you gossip, you try to shape someone else's reputation. When you brag, you try to shape how others see you. Both are futile. The Stoics invite us to let go of this struggle. Instead of manipulating perceptions, focus on your own actions. Live so well that you don't need to explain yourself. Let others talk while you quietly embody your values. This approach has ripple effects beyond the individual. When one person chooses integrity, it subtly influences those around them. A team member who refuses to gossip sets a new standard. A leader who doesn't boast inspires humility in others. Change begins with a single person willing to step out of the noise. Even if the world remains chaotic, you can create a pocket of peace wherever you are. This is the essence of Stoic leadership, leading not through words, but through example. As you integrate these practices, remember that progress is gradual. You will slip up. You will catch yourself gossiping or craving recognition. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, but awareness. Each time you notice, you have a choice. You can return to the path of virtue. Over time, these small choices add up to profound transformation. You become someone others trust instinctively, someone whose presence brings calm instead of chaos. In a noisy world, this is a rare and precious gift. While others are busy tearing each other down or showing off their goodness, you will be quietly building a life of substance. You will be free from the exhausting game of appearances. And when people wonder how you remain so steady amidst the noise, you won't need to explain. Your actions will speak for themselves, just as the Stoics intended. Seneca once wrote, "The person who reveals their weaknesses to the world is like a city without walls." This simple yet profound statement captures an essential truth about human nature and the modern world. Everyone has weaknesses. Some are obvious, like a lack of technical skills or poor time management. Others are more internal, like self-doubt, impatience, or a tendency to get angry under pressure. The problem isn't that we have weaknesses, the problem is how we handle them. In today's culture, people are encouraged to be authentic and vulnerable, often oversharing deeply personal struggles on social media or in professional settings. While openness has its place, there's a critical difference between being honest and being exposed. If you reveal too much, especially to people who don't have your best interests at heart, you invite judgment, manipulation, and even harm. Stoic philosophy offers a different approach. Protect your weaknesses like a fortress, work on them quietly, and over time, transform them into strengths. The first step is to identify your true weaknesses. This sounds simple, but it requires deep self-reflection. Many people mistake surface-level issues for core weaknesses. For example, someone might think their problem is procrastination, when the deeper issue is fear of failure. Another person might think they lack confidence, when in reality, they haven't developed the skills necessary to feel competent. To truly understand your weaknesses, you must be brutally honest with yourself. Journaling can be a powerful tool here. Write down moments when you felt frustrated, embarrassed, or inadequate. Look for patterns. Do you consistently struggle with communication? Do you lose your temper easily? Do you shy away from leadership roles because you fear criticism? The goal isn't to judge yourself harshly, but to map the terrain of your inner world. Without this clarity, you can't create an effective plan for growth. Once you've identified your weaknesses, the Stoic advice is clear. Don't broadcast them. In the modern era, there is a popular belief that sharing your struggles publicly is always courageous and empowering. While this can be true in certain safe spaces, it is not universally wise. In competitive environments like workplaces, politics, or even certain friendships, your weaknesses can and will be used against you. Imagine a corporate setting where you admit to your boss that you struggle with organization. Instead of supporting you, they might start questioning your reliability or pass you over for important projects. Or consider a toxic coworker who learns about your insecurity and subtly manipulates situations to undermine you. This doesn't mean you should live in fear, but it does mean being discerning. Vulnerability is a gift you offer to people who have earned your trust, not to anyone who happens to be listening. In a digital age, this principle is more important than ever. Social media encourages constant disclosure. People post about their mental health challenges, financial struggles, and personal conflicts, often to complete strangers. While some of these posts may receive sympathy, others attract criticism or exploitation. There are countless stories of individuals losing job opportunities or facing public backlash because of something they shared online. When you reveal your weaknesses in such a public forum, you're essentially leaving your city without walls, as Seneca warned. The internet never forgets, and what feels like a moment of connection today can become a weapon against you tomorrow. Instead of exposing your weaknesses, the Stoic path is to work on them quietly. This is where transformation happens. Imagine a software engineer who knows she's terrible at public speaking. In team meetings, she freezes up and lets others dominate the conversation. She could announce this weakness to everyone and hope for sympathy, or she could take action in private. Every evening, she practices presentations alone in her apartment, recording herself on her phone, analyzing her tone, pacing, and body language. She signs up for a local Toastmasters group under pseudonym, so no one at work knows. After months of dedicated practice, she surprises her entire team by delivering a flawless presentation at the next big meeting. The same colleagues who once overlooked her are now impressed by her growth. By protecting her weakness while she worked on it, she turned it into a strength that commands respect. This approach applies to organizations as well. Consider a tech company that suffers a major security breach. If they immediately announce the problem to the public without preparation, they risk losing customers, investors, and credibility. Instead, a more strategic response is to quietly fix the issue first. They bring in experts, patch vulnerabilities, and strengthen their defenses before making a carefully crafted public statement. By handling the weakness internally, they prevent chaos and emerge stronger. In both personal and organizational contexts, silence is not deception, it is strategy. It creates the space needed for genuine improvement. The process of transforming weakness into strength involves 3 key steps. The first, as mentioned earlier, is identification. You must know what you're dealing with before you can address it. The second step is protection. This means setting boundaries about who has access to your struggles. For instance, if you're trying to overcome a short temper, don't announce to your entire social circle that you're working on anger management. Instead, share this goal only with a trusted mentor or therapist who can support you constructively. The third step is deliberate practice. Improvement doesn't happen by accident. You need a plan. Break your goal into small, manageable actions and track your progress consistently. For example, let's say your weakness is poor financial discipline. You tend to overspend, forget to pay bills, and avoid thinking about money. To address this, you might start by setting a simple goal. Track every expense for 30 days. No enlightenment, just awareness. Next, you could create a basic budget and automate bill payments to reduce stress. Over time, you might take a personal finance course or meet with a financial advisor. Throughout this process, you keep your efforts private. You don't need to post your budget spreadsheet on Instagram or announce your struggles at parties. When your financial situation improves, others will notice the stability and confidence you project without needing to know every detail of how you got there. One of the most powerful aspects of this method is the element of surprise. When you work quietly, you create the potential for dramatic, positive revelations. Think about a friend who suddenly shows up looking healthier and more energetic. You had no idea they'd been working out consistently for months because they never talked about it. Their results speak for themselves. This kind of quiet transformation inspires others more than constant updates ever could. In contrast, people who loudly proclaim their goals often lose credibility when they fail to follow through. By staying silent, you protect your integrity. There's also a psychological benefit to this approach. When you keep your self-improvement efforts private, you remove external pressure. You're not performing for an audience or trying to meet other people's expectations. This allows you to focus entirely on the process, which is where real growth happens. Psychologists call this intrinsic motivation, doing something because it matters to you, not because you want applause. Research shows that intrinsic motivation leads to deeper learning and more lasting change. The Stoics understood this intuitively. By working in silence, you cultivate self-discipline and resilience. You learn to rely on your own judgment rather than chasing external validation. Of course, the journey is not easy. Facing your weaknesses requires courage. It's tempting to avoid them, to distract yourself with busyness, or blame others for your problems. The Stoic mindset rejects these excuses. Instead, it frames challenges as opportunities. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, your weakness is not just an obstacle, it is the path to your greatest growth. If you struggle with patience, every frustrating situation becomes a training ground. If you fear public speaking, every presentation becomes a chance to build confidence. This perspective transforms hardship into empowerment. Consider the story of a man named Alex, a mid-level manager at a large company. Alex had a reputation for being brilliant but arrogant. His ideas were excellent, but his lack of empathy alienated his team. When performance reviews came around, he was shocked to learn that his leadership style was a major weakness. Instead of defensively announcing that he would work on being nicer, Alex chose a stoic approach. He didn't tell his team about his self-improvement plan. Instead, he quietly started reading books on emotional intelligence, practicing active listening, and seeking feedback from trusted mentor. Over several months, his behavior shifted. Team meetings became more collaborative, conflicts decreased, and morale improved. By the next review cycle, his colleagues were praising his transformation, without ever knowing the deliberate effort behind it. Alex's private work led to public success. The key here is balance. Protecting your weaknesses doesn't mean pretending to be perfect. It's about choosing the right time and place to reveal your progress. When you've made significant strides, sharing your story can inspire others. The difference is that you're speaking from a place of strength, not desperation. Until then, let silence be your shield. This aligns with the Stoic ideal of self-control. You're not at the mercy of gossip, judgment, or premature scrutiny. You move at your own pace, guided by your own values. To put this into practice, try a simple exercise. Write down 3 weaknesses you've identified in yourself. Be honest but specific. Instead of vague statements like, "I'm bad at communication," dig deeper. "I get nervous during one-on-one conversations with authority figures." Next, choose one weakness to focus on for the next 30 days. Create a private plan for improvement. This might involve reading, practicing skills, or seeking mentorship. The crucial rule is secrecy. Don't announce your plan to anyone who doesn't absolutely need to know. At the end of the 30 days, reflect on your progress. Even small improvements will build confidence and momentum. As you repeat this process over time, you'll notice a shift. Weaknesses that once felt like permanent flaws will become areas of mastery. More importantly, you'll develop a deep trust in yourself. You'll know that you can face any challenge, not because others believe in you, but because you've proven it through action. This is the essence of Stoic self-mastery. It's not about eliminating all weakness that's impossible. It's about transforming weakness into strength through disciplined, private effort. In a world obsessed with appearances, this approach is refreshingly countercultural. While others are busy curating their public image, you'll be quietly building real substance. While they chase likes and validation, you'll be cultivating inner power. When the time comes to reveal your growth, it will be undeniable. People may call you lucky or gifted, but you'll know the truth. Your strength was forged in silence, brick by brick, moment by moment. Just as a city's strongest walls are built quietly, without fanfare, so too are the defenses of your character. By protecting your weaknesses and working on them privately, You create a fortress within yourself, one that no external force can easily breach. Solitude is one of the most misunderstood concepts in modern life. Many people equate being alone with being lonely, but they are not the same. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness and disconnection, while solitude is a deliberate choice to be with yourself, to create space for reflection, creativity, and renewal. The Stoics understood this distinction deeply. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who ruled over millions and faced constant political turmoil, wrote in his private journals, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This statement reveals the heart of the Stoic philosophy. No matter how chaotic the world becomes, you carry a sanctuary within you, a place you can retreat to at any moment. But in today's hyper-connected society, finding that inner sanctuary is harder than ever. Our phones buzz constantly, social media fills every quiet moment, and silence itself feels uncomfortable. We're so used to external noise that when it stops, we panic. And yet, if we can relearn the art of solitude, we unlock profound strength and clarity. When you deliberately spend time alone, you create an opportunity to reconnect with yourself. Most people go through their days reacting to external stimuli, emails, texts, news headlines, other people's opinions. They rarely pause to ask, what do I actually think? What do I actually want? Without solitude, it's easy to lose yourself in the crowd. You start living by default, following trends, copying others, and making decisions based on fear of judgment, rather than inner conviction. Solitude breaks this cycle. When you sit quietly with your thoughts, away from the constant input of the world, you begin to hear your own voice again. This voice may be faint at first, drowned out by years of noise, but with practice, it grows stronger. This is why so many spiritual traditions emphasize periods of silence and retreat. Whether it's monks meditating in monasteries, writers going on solitary retreats, or athletes taking time off to focus mentally, the principle is the same. Solitude clears away the clutter so you can see what truly matters. Consider the example of Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple. Jobs was known for his intense creativity and bold decision-making. One of his habits was to take long walks alone, often without any agenda. These solitary walks weren't just for exercise. They were a way to think deeply about problems and ideas without distraction. Many of Apple's most innovative products, including the iPhone, were conceived during these quiet moments of reflection. Jobs understood that breakthrough ideas rarely emerge in noisy meetings or endless brainstorming sessions. They arise in stillness, when the mind has space to wander and connect dots in unexpected ways. In this sense, solitude isn't just a luxury for artists and philosophers, it's a practical tool for anyone who wants to live and work more effectively. Another powerful example comes from the world of spiritual practice. Throughout history, many seekers of wisdom have chosen to live in isolation for periods of time. Buddhist monks, Christian mystics, and Hindu yogis have all retreated to forests, mountains, or deserts to deepen their understanding of life. These stories aren't about escaping society forever. They're about temporarily withdrawing to gain perspective. Imagine a monk living in a remote cabin for years, meditating daily, observing his thoughts, and slowly peeling away the layers of ego and illusion. When he returns to the world, he brings with him a profound sense of peace and clarity. Most of us don't need to move to a forest, but we can create mini retreats in our daily lives. Even 30 minutes of intentional solitude each day can have a transformative effect. The benefits of solitude go beyond self-reflection. It is also a source of energy and creativity. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, literal noise like traffic and conversations, or digital noise like notifications and advertisements, your mind never gets a chance to rest. This constant stimulation leads to burnout. You may notice that after a day of back-to-back meetings or endless scrolling, you feel drained, even if you didn't do much physical activity. Solitude acts like a reset button. When you sit quietly, your nervous system calms down, your breathing slows, and your brain begins to process and integrate information. This is why so many people have their best ideas in the shower, while driving alone, or during a quiet walk. The mind needs space to make connections. Without solitude, you may keep working harder and harder, but your creativity suffers. There's also a deep emotional benefit to solitude, learning not to depend on external validation. In the age of social media, many people measure their worth by likes, comments, and followers. They feel good when others approve of them and crushed when they receive criticism or indifference. This creates a fragile sense of self. Stoic philosophy offers an antidote. By spending time alone, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. You begin to see that your value doesn't depend on what others think. Marcus Aurelius faced immense pressure as emperor, yet he wrote reminders to himself not to be swayed by praise or blame. His journal was his private space to reconnect with his core values. Today, we can create similar practices. Instead of checking your phone first thing in the morning, sit quietly for a few minutes. Instead of seeking advice from 10 different friends, take a walk and listen to your own intuition. The more you do this, the more resilient you become. External opinions still matter, but they no longer control you. Of course, solitude can feel uncomfortable at first. Many people avoid being alone because it brings up difficult feelings. When there's no distraction, you may encounter sadness, anger, or fear that you've been suppressing. This is why some people always keep the TV on or constantly check their phones. They're running from themselves. The Stoic approach is different. It encourages you to face whatever arises with courage and curiosity. If you feel lonely, ask why. If you feel anxious, explore the source. Solitude becomes a laboratory for self-understanding. Over time, this practice builds emotional strength. You learn that you can handle difficult emotions without needing to escape. This is true freedom, being at home with yourself, no matter what storms rage outside. One modern challenge is that technology has blurred the line between solitude and connection. Even when we're physically alone, our phones keep us tethered to others. You might be sitting in an empty room, but mentally, you're still surrounded by the voices of friends, influencers, and strangers. To experience real solitude, you must create intentional boundaries. This means turning off devices, stepping away from screens, and allowing true silence. At first, this may feel boring or even scary, but boredom is actually a gateway to creativity. When your mind isn't constantly stimulated, it starts to generate new ideas. Children know this instinctively. Give a child an empty afternoon with no toys or screens, and they'll invent games, stories, and worlds from their imagination. Adults can reclaim this playful creativity through solitude. Here's a simple practice. Set aside at least 30 minutes each day for uninterrupted alone time. No phone, no music, no podcasts, just you and your thoughts. You can sit quietly, journal, meditate, or take a walk. The key is to resist the urge to fill the silence. Notice what comes up. At first, your mind may race. You'll think about emails you need to send, errands you need to run, arguments you had. That's normal. Keep sitting. Over time, the mental chatter will settle and deeper insights will emerge. This daily ritual becomes a sacred space, a way to reset and reconnect with your inner sanctuary. Many people find that their mood improves, their relationships deepen, and their work becomes more focused as a result. Solitude also teaches you to appreciate connection more fully. When you're always around others, you may take them for granted or become overwhelmed. But when you alternate between time alone and time with others, both become richer. After a day of quiet reflection, a conversation with a friend feels more meaningful. After a period of social activity, retreating to solitude feels restorative. This rhythm mirrors nature itself. Day alternates with night, activity with rest, growth with dormancy. By honoring this natural cycle, you align yourself with life's deeper patterns. In practical terms, Embracing solitude might mean saying no to certain invitations. It might mean setting boundaries with friends or family who expect constant availability. This can be challenging, especially if people don't understand your need for alone time. They may take it personally, thinking you're rejecting them. The key is to communicate clearly. You can say, "I value our relationship, and I also need some quiet time to recharge." Over time, the people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries, and you'll discover that by taking care of yourself, you actually show up more fully for others. When your inner sanctuary is strong, you can offer genuine presence and support without resentment or burnout. Solitude is not isolation. The goal isn't to cut yourself off from the world, but to create a balance between inner and outer life. Some people misunderstand Stoic philosophy as cold or detached, but in reality, it's deeply relational. By knowing yourself through solitude, you become a better friend, partner, parent, or leader. You no longer project your unresolved issues onto others. You no longer demand that they fill your emptiness. Instead, you meet them as whole individuals, capable of giving and receiving freely. This is the paradox of solitude. The more comfortable you are being alone, the more authentic your connections with others become. The final lesson here ties back to all the previous Stoic principles. Throughout this journey, we've explored mastering yourself, guarding your plans, rising above gossip, protecting your weaknesses, and now, embracing solitude. These practices are interconnected. They all point toward the same ultimate goal, inner freedom. The wise person doesn't seek to defeat others or dominate the world. They seek to master themselves. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The true retreat is not a physical place, but the quiet space within your own soul." When you cultivate this inner sanctuary, external circumstances lose their power over you. Success and failure, praise and blame, chaos and calm, they come and go like waves, but you remain steady. In everyday life, this might look like handling a crisis at work with calm clarity because you've built that inner strength. It might look like resisting the urge to post every achievement online because you no longer need validation. It might look like listening deeply to a friend without judgment because you've practiced listening to yourself. These are not dramatic gestures, but they create a profound impact over time. People around you may notice your presence and wonder how you stay so grounded. Some may even be inspired to begin their own journey inward. To summarize the path we've traveled, first, you learned not to complain about challenges, but to face them with action. Then, you discovered the power of strategic silence, keeping your plans and dreams protected. You rose above gossip and the temptation to brag, focusing instead on living with integrity. You transformed weaknesses into strengths through quiet, disciplined practice. And finally, you build a sanctuary within through the art of solitude. Each step reinforced the others, creating a foundation of resilience and wisdom. This is the Stoic way, not a set of abstract ideas, but a practical guide for living well in any era. The ultimate victory is not over other people, but over the chaos within yourself. When you no longer need to control others or seek their approval, you become truly free. This freedom allows you to engage with the world from a place of strength rather than fear. You can love without clinging, work without burning out, and lead without ego. In a noisy, divided world, this is a revolutionary act. Solitude is the key that unlocks it. By spending time in your inner sanctuary each day, you align with the deepest truths of Stoic philosophy. You remember that while you can't always choose what happens to you, you can always choose how you respond. And that choice, repeated over and over, shapes the course of your life. Take a deep breath and notice how you feel right now compared to when you first clicked on this video. We've traveled through some powerful ideas together, ideas that the Stoics believed were essential for a life of strength, clarity, and freedom. We've talked about how solitude is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It's not about isolation or rejection of the world. It's about cultivating a sacred space inside yourself, a place you can return to no matter how chaotic life becomes. Think about what we explored today. Solitude reconnects you with your true self. It gives you the mental clarity to make wise decisions, the emotional space to process challenges, and the creative energy to bring new ideas into the world. It frees you from the constant craving for external approval. When you are comfortable being alone, you're no longer at the mercy of other people's opinions. You can move through life with quiet confidence, knowing that your worth comes from within. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. This isn't just poetry, it's practical wisdom. You don't need to wait for the world to calm down before you find peace. You don't need the perfect vacation or the perfect meditation app. That quiet retreat is always available inside you. All you have to do is choose to enter it. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine starting your day not by checking your phone or rushing into tasks, but by sitting quietly for 30 minutes with no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your mind will race, bringing up to-do lists, memories, maybe even painful feelings. But if you stay with it, something magical happens. The noise begins to settle. Beneath the surface chatter, you start to hear a deeper voice, the voice of your own inner wisdom. That voice has been there all along, but it's been drowned out by the external world. When you connect with it, decisions become easier. Relationships become clearer. Even challenges that once seemed overwhelming lose their power over you. This practice doesn't just benefit you. When you build a sanctuary within, you show up differently for others. You listen more deeply. You respond instead of reacting. You inspire people, not through words, but through your presence. This is why solitude is not selfish, it's a gift. The stronger and calmer you are inside, the more you can contribute to the world around you. As we conclude, let's zoom out and see how this lesson fits into the bigger picture. Over the course of this series, we've explored 6 Stoic keys to outsmarting the chaos of modern life. First, we learned not to complain about challenges, but to face them with action. Second, we discovered the power of strategic silence, protecting our plans and dreams. Third, we rose above gossip and the temptation to brag, choosing integrity over noise. Fourth, we learned to transform weaknesses into strengths through quiet, disciplined practice. And now, finally, we've arrived at the heart of it all, the inner sanctuary that makes all the other practices possible. The Stoics believe that the greatest victory is not over other people, but over yourself. When you master your own mind, external circumstances lose their power over you. Success and failure, praise and criticism, chaos and calm, they come and go. But your inner center remains steady. This is the true freedom that philosophy offers. I want to challenge you to take one small step today. Set aside just 30 minutes for intentional solitude. Turn off your phone, close the door, sit in silence, and simply be with yourself. It will feel strange at first, but with practice, it will become the most valuable part of your day. Over time, those 30 minutes will ripple out into every area of your life. You'll find yourself calmer in stressful situations, more creative at work, more present with loved ones. This is the power of the sanctuary within. Before you go, I want to sincerely thank you for being here. If this video resonated with you, please like it, share it with someone who could benefit from this message, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. Your engagement helps us grow and spread Stoic wisdom to more people around the world. And if you feel moved to support this work on a deeper level, consider using the Super Thanks feature right here on YouTube. Even a small donation makes a huge difference and allows us to keep creating high-quality, meaningful videos for you and this amazing community. As you close this video and return to your life, remember this: you don't need to control the world. You don't need to win every argument or impress every person. The only victory that truly matters is the victory within. Build your inner sanctuary, visit it often, and let it guide you through whatever storms life brings. When you do this, you'll discover a strength, and peace that no one can take away. Thank you for watching, for supporting, and for walking this path of wisdom with me. Until next time, take care of your mind, honor your inner silence, and keep shining your light in this noisy world.